What's good, everyone, and welcome back to another reaction video. Today, we're reacting to genius inventions that should be implemented in every city. Now, these are just basically inventions that should definitely be put into cities. That's what I get from the understand from the title, at least. I don't know. I haven't seen this video. This is a blind reaction. Anyway, I've been curious to see what's going on, so let's just dive right into it. Hopefully, this will be something to implement into cities that will help everyone. So, if you enjoy this reaction video, hit the like button down below, hit the subscribe button to support the channel, support the content provided, and so on and so forth. Hit the notification button, be notified immediately when a new video comes out. If you have any videos you would like to recommend I should react to, put it in the comment section below, and I'll react to them as soon as possible. And other than that, the link to this video will be down in the description below, so if you want to see this video before I react to it, pause the video right now, see it, and then come back. Okay, let's start.
Cities are great, but they can be as incredible as they are problematic.
True.
Ever zoned out on the subway and missed your stop? Or trying to get down from the top floor of a bus and nearly broken your neck on the stairs?
No.
Luckily, some smart cookies have thought up ingenious solutions to these little problems, like light-up subway stops, bus slides, heck, even full-height skyscraper slides. So let's take a look at some of the most amazing inventions that might be coming to a city near you in the not-so-distant future. Basketball bin. If there's one thing the Netherlands has plenty of, it's bikes. The two-wheeled trend began back in the 1970s, making cities safer and more livable, leading to the country owning some 23 million bikes today.
Gosh
But
damn.
unlike a car, you can't just put your trash in the passenger seat, footwell, glove box, or trunk. Never look in my car, I beg. So where are all these cyclists meant to dispose of their rubbish en route? Well, these huge hoops have been installed along cycle paths to encourage more people to, literally, throw away their trash. They're designed to be used at speed thanks to their 3-foot wide hoop and conical shape, so you don't have to stop or even slow down to hit the target. Trash hoops, or blikvangers as they're called by the Dutch, are incredibly simple but make all the difference to the environment in the cities they're installed in. Could you imagine if New York adopted a more bike-focused transport system without all the smog, congestion, or trash piling up on the side of the road? It'd even give us a brand new sport. Game of trashketball, anybody? From top to bottom.
The only problem I have with that basket thing would probably be the case that it doesn't really fulfill what it says, and you can basically miss, and not going to really help the environment at all. So that would be my only problem with it.
All buildings are built from the ground up, right? Well, there's at least one building in Detroit that begged to differ. This is the Exchange, a building that's literally been built from the top down. The core is constructed first, then each floor is built on the ground before being elevated and locked into the core. Once it's in position, the strand jacks, which lift the floor plates, are lowered back down to lift up the next one. Each floor plate weighs approximately 500 tons, which can be raised at some 25 feet per hour. I mean, that's very impressive, but why? Well, this method reduces physical labor and the construction site land mass required, as well as preventing equipment getting wet from rain. If more cities introduced this impressive construction model, it could save unprecedented amounts of time, space, and ultimately, money. Whoa, who knew doing things backwards could make things move forwards?
I could see how it's good, but I'm more worried about earthquakes, because, I don't know. What if it damaged some of the stuff and it actually makes everything collapse? You're going to have to start all over again.
Stop and slide. Walking down the steep stairs on a double-decker bus is a death trap, especially when the bus is still moving. There must be a less terrifying way to get down that doesn't involve some imminent injury. Well, graphic designer and photographer Surreal HK might have us covered. They've created a concept that straps a slide onto the back of the bus, giving passengers a super quick and fun emergency exit.
Hmm.
Plus, it's a one-way system, so no battling for space between the people getting on and off. That's a nifty concept, though those open sides might be a little too dangerous to have at the back of a potentially moving vehicle. Still, it's not a bad place to start, although Surreal HK
Hmm.
hasn't stopped there. They've also imagined a way to make traveling down Hong Kong's International Finance Center way more fun and colorful. Just choose one of 8 slides at the top, plummet down, and arrive at your ground floor destination a few seconds later. Okay, arguably this design is too dangerous to ever be real, considering most people
Definitely.
like their bones unbroken, but there are skyscrapers that offer visitors glass slide rides around the exterior portions of the top floors of their buildings, like LA's Bank Tower slide.
I would
Well, it
never.
may just be a visitor attraction
Oh.
for now, but maybe in the
Oh.
future we'll see people in suits whizzing their way down slides to start their evening commute.
No. 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 The first slide involving the bus. It's an okay idea. It has its faults, but it's an okay idea. It just needs some fine tuning, and it can probably work. The thing involving the skyscraper going down, no, you're gonna get injured doing it. But the other one, the final thing, the involving how they made slides in LA, no, I am not getting on one. I will take the stairs, the elevator. Heck, I will take an escalator. Heck, I will physically wait for however long it would take just to get down than to go down some slide. That is a no for me.
Splashless success. I don't know if you've used a public urinal recently, but a lot of people have terrible aim, if you get my
Mm,
meaning. However, drips and splashes in public
don't need to
urinals could
really
soon be a
say
thing of the
that, but okay.
past. With this wonderfully weird urinal, you're meant to stick your thing inside so that your stream is
What?
splashback free. Is it the most sanitary option? Most definitely not. You never know what's been stuck in there beforehand. But the idea of no splashback urinal is pretty genius. Thankfully, such designs do exist that don't look quite as intimidating. In
Oh, thank
2022,
God.
mechanical engineer Dr. Zhao Pan tested multiple urinal shapes designed specifically to prevent splashback, basing his design on Nautilus shells. Streams are intersected by the surface at a 30-degree angle with the long downward V shape, cutting off any splashes or spills. Just think about how clean the floors would be if clubs and bars installed them. I bet the cleaners in particular can't wait to see them lining the walls.
One, I am never sticking anything like that with my thing. No, thank you.
Metro Light. I know that whenever I'm riding on the subway, I put my headphones on and zone out. And more than once I've tragically missed my stop because of this. Luckily, there are subways in Amsterdam that have solved the issue of losing track of where you are because of daydreaming and loud music. They have used LEDs to light up each stop on the map, allowing passengers to quickly and easily check where they are on the route. This is a great addition that lets you know exactly where you're going without having to immediately worry that you've missed your stop or you're on the wrong train. This design feels like it was made for me. Doggy Daycare.
I I already have that. It's a digital board. It shows where we're going when we're at our next destination and tells us and shows signs of where we're at and what's the stop. I don't know about anyone else, but that's the train station I use has. It's
I
weird.
don't know about you, but every time I see a dog tied up outside a store, I get a little sad. If only there was a safe, comfortable place to keep your pet when you need to run an errand. Luckily, DogSpot is here to rescue your furry friend. This Brooklyn-based company has created interactive kennels just for this purpose, with each one able to accommodate dogs up to 100 pounds for a maximum of 90 minutes. There's no danger of them getting lost or stolen with its locked door system. And inside, the den includes fans to allow fresh air circulation and appropriate heat regulation, so your canine companion will never be too cold or too hot. To keep each one sanitary, dog spots use UV lights after every visit to kill bacteria and viruses. And to make it even easier, they even have an app. You just reserve a kennel for the appropriate time. A dog cam is equipped, letting you check up on your furry friend whenever you need to for peace of mind. What's more, there are companies all over the world offering similar kennel experiences, like Norway's Den for Dogs. So no matter where in the world you go, you don't have to leave your dog at home. Nice. Now let your dog relax in a comfy kennel while you go fetch.
Not a bad idea.
Excellent eco-ducts. Why did the chicken cross the road? Because it didn't know this eco-duct existed. These animal crossings, or eco-ducts, have been created to allow animals safe passage over busy highways. There are over 600 of them in the Netherlands alone, and they are spreading all over the globe. And with good reason. Highways can divide important habitats for all sorts of creatures, such as the mountain lion population in Los Angeles. Since 2002, at least 25 of these gorgeous big cats have been involved in fatal automobile accidents. Luckily, the US government is reportedly greenlighting a $350 million budget for animal-friendly infrastructure like bridges, roadside fences, and underpasses. In fact, the world's largest animal crossing is currently being built near LA, stretching 210 feet long at a price of $90 million. When you think about it, that's a lot of money. But a study in Canada reported that there was a 90% decrease in wildlife and vehicle collisions since they installed several overpasses. This innovation not only helps the animals, it helps clear the roads and keep city highways safer for all. Finally, that chicken can get to the other side without becoming roadkill.
I like it. Environment
House
healthy.
hooks. Have you ever had to get huge
And all
pieces
that.
of furniture up a set of stairs? Ever ended up like that one scene from Friends? You know. Well, while we were busy sawing our couches in half over in the Netherlands, they've implemented a much more practical solution. Houses here are often very narrow, especially if they've been built on the canal side. This is because historically, the wider a home was built, the more taxes a homeowner had to pay. So to save money, many property owners would build long, high houses. Very crafty. But when the time came to move house, large and heavy furniture could hardly fit through the door, let alone be taken upstairs. So these houses have hooks built into the tops of their exteriors, which can be used to attach a rope pulley. Furniture can then be hoisted by hand up into the air and transferred inside through the windows. If you ever see this happening in real life and you're suddenly confronted by a 3-seater couch floating in midair, at least you'll know you're not going crazy. And it's not just for couches. From boxes to ovens, all can be lifted. Well, I bet that Friends episode is even funnier in Dutch. Underwater doorbell.
It does
Locks are
sound
pretty
safe.
impressive pieces of engineering, allowing those on canal boats to adjust the water level so that they can gradually climb or descend steep waterways. But have you ever wondered how fish navigate these locks? Well, one lock in Utrecht became the home of the world's first fish doorbell. You heard that right.
Huh?
Underwater cameras display how many fish are waiting in queue to pass through the lock, with people online able to press the doorbell to let them through by accessing a live stream. When this happens, a signal is sent to the lock operator, who can then open the lock if there are enough fish waiting in line. Now this is the future I was hoping for. The doorbell allows fish to migrate to meet their biological needs. They need to be in deeper waters to keep warm in the winter and shallower waters in spring so that they can produce offspring. When the bell is pressed, the lock gates open, releasing hundreds of gallons of water. This lowers boats and fish so they can join the next stretch of the canal. I wish I was that lock operator. Then the fish would be letting me know when they want it in. Get it? Me know? Minnow? Couldn't resist. Yeah,
Okay.
let's move on.
Okay, the previous two were interesting. One, the whole rope thing doesn't sound safe. It sounds like an accident waiting to happen, but it's a bit more smarter for certain types of houses. The fish one, it just seems weird to me. I don't know what to think of
Panic
it.
heaven. Stressful day at work? Can't cope with school essays? Too much YouTube drama? God knows there's a lot of it at the moment. Well, in Copenhagen, there's public places in the city you can go if you need to unwind and sway. Called off ground, this series of public hammocks are available in the summers on the boardwalks of the city center. They're a creative alternative to benches, and though they may look bizarre in an urban space, they do create an easygoing environment, something that's desperately needed in fast-paced cities. The hammocks are repurposed from old fire hoses and steel piping, cleverly upcycled for public enjoyment. Similar hammock designs have also been installed in Philadelphia and Brooklyn. Perhaps it will catch on as a popular city trend in the summertime. Heck knows I could do with a place to relax and unwind in my city. Fishing for the most interesting facts all day gets pretty stressful sometimes. Clever
Okay.
casts. Everything's better in 3D. Films, graphics, printers. Well,
Not
to add to
really.
that 3D printer hype, now they can benefit the medical world with special 3D printed casts. Most modern medical casts are made from plaster or fiberglass, which are stiff and rigid to keep the healing bone beneath in place. But 3D printed casts, which are made from a high-temperature thermoplastic, look much cooler and easier to move in. This is due to their thin, breathable structure and being incredibly less complex to remove. No more horrifying casts all. The best part about this invention is that they're waterproof, which means there's no fear of showering with your sponge-like plaster cast on, or the panic of excessively wrapping it in plastic. Its spiderweb design lets air hit the skin easily, preventing sweat and bacterial buildup normally found in traditional casts. And no more using pens or straws to reach down into them when you have an itch. The dream. You must be wondering then,
Okay.
if these casts are so much better, why aren't hospitals using them? Well, 3D printed casts can cost anywhere from between $200 to $500, and plaster casts typically sit around the $250 margin. Many hospitals don't have the facilities or budget to accommodate 3D printers, and currently it takes 90 minutes to print just one out, which could add to longer hospital waiting times, and no one wants that. However, as
True.
technology advances, both the time and cost of these casts could be brought down to make them a more accessible option for all. Please, give me this itch-free broken bone blessing. I'm so very clumsy. I need this. Ticket squats. Would you exercise to avoid a transport fare? Well, in Moscow, Russia, a machine offering just that was installed in Vostochная Station as a promotion for the Olympic Winter Games back in 2014. Given a time
Really?
limit of 2 minutes, passengers could complete 30 squats to ride the metro for free. Not only was this scheme used to encourage exercise and health, but also to deter fare dodgers from abusing the public transport system. The squats were regulated and judged by the machine, which printed a ticket worth 92 cents when finished successfully. This might not seem like a lot, but imagine if this was a daily routine. Those savings could add up nicely, and riders would be healthier for it. There's definitely potential for implementing these machines across cities, especially
Not
if it gives you a
wrong.
discounted or complimentary ticket. You might feel a little embarrassed about popping a squat in public, but if enough people took part, it could inspire hundreds of commuters to get active. It's not the Olympics, but I wouldn't say no to a free excuse to build up my dump truck. Green machine. Cycling is a great way to get around town, but what if we could make it even better? Not just for ourselves, but for the environment. Don Roosgaard, a Dutch designer living in China, has designed a bicycle which inhales city air, filled with smog and pollutants from cars and factories, and releases fresh air back into the atmosphere. Like a manta ray which filters water for food, the bike draws in particulate matter and cleans it using its own attached device. As you ride around the city, you won't just be taking in the sights, you'll be cleaning the streets too. The goal is for cities like Beijing to have 2.5 million smog-free bikes in the near future, which will reduce pollution between 5 and 15% in just 2 years. And what would happen to all that filthy matter collected by the filters? They can be turned into all manner of things, like jewelry. Smog rings contain compressed air pollution inside a transparent cube. They've even been used as wedding rings. Who knew a bicycle could do more than just get you from A to B, smog-free?
That's interesting, more or less. Huh. I didn't think you could do much with smog.
The Rainbow Road. Have you ever wished you could drive down Mario Kart's Rainbow Road in real life? Well,
Not
these
really.
solar-paneled roads are the closest thing to fulfilling your Nintendo dreams. Called
Solar
solar
panel
roadways, they possess
floors?
intelligent LED lights which illuminate the night, but they're not just glorified Christmas decorations. They're used for clearer visibility and signage, but this isn't all it can do. The panels themselves are able to generate clean, renewable energy through solar power, which can be sent to the grid. In fact, there's potential for these roads to replace the national grid. A cable corridor that runs alongside the road can store utility lines, is safe from power outages, and is easier to access than cables run between the tops of 100-foot poles.
Mm.
Asphalt and concrete roads may be a thing of the past soon enough, because the maintenance of solar roadways is incredibly low. No more annoying potholes to contend with or repainting faded lane lines. Even ice and snow can't stick to the surface because its state-of-the-art heating system maintains the panels at a temperature above freezing. Tanks beneath frost lines can collect rainwater from the paneled roads, ready to be recycled or transferred to water treatment plants. Oh, I can't wait to pretend to be Mario caning it down one of these bad boys.
That's really smart, actually. I like it. I never really expected something like that. It could change everything that we know and can actually be really helpful for both the environment and, yeah.
Two-seater
Huh.
swing. What if I told you there was a swing that was designed for children and parents? Honestly, I don't know why more parks don't have them. Adults can feel the absolute joy of being a child again while swinging with their own little one. If more parks had these swings, you best believe the adults would be fighting over who got there first. But it would also encourage more parent and child interaction since both seats are facing forward. It was designed this way to enhance children's sensory skills and promote the experience of having them recognize and watch their parents' facial expressions. It's also far superior to having to stand there and push all the time. It makes the playground just as much fun for parents. I think it would be
Hmm.
harder to tear the parents away from this genius invention. The safety net. Pollution in our waterways is one of the saddest things to witness firsthand. Not only does it eventually come back to hurt us, but it also harms the wildlife that has to deal with discarded single-use plastic and general trash thrown into it without a second thought. Fortunately, a city in the land down under has found a way to reduce the rubbish in its waterways with a single nifty invention. The Australian city of Kwinana has been fighting water pollution with drain socks, which are fitted over drainage pipes. They act like a giant sieve, preventing waste and garbage from entering the water, keeping the reserve clean and safe. In just 6 months, it collected over 800 pounds of rubbish from 2 installed nets. During these months, they're cleaned 3 times to keep the waste from overflowing, and when enough has been collected, the garbage is separated. Some of this debris can then be taken to a recycling center, which turns it into fertilizer. These nets aren't
Okay.
immediately harming the wildlife either, as there have been no reports of animals getting stuck inside. And one of the best things about them, they only cost $20,000 to implement. In the grand scheme of things, these nets are a very cost-effective way of cleaning up waterways and stopping contamination from happening in the first place. Compare that to the cost of cleaning up an entire ocean of plastic, which at this point would cost somewhere in the region of $90 billion. Wow. When you put it like that, it really is a small price to pay.
Hmm.
Load of trash. Handling your own
Huh?
trash is nasty, let alone other people's trash, which is why I respect the heck out of my local trash man. Hauling everyone's trash around all day can't be easy or fun. But luckily, there's a new electric truck in the city of Rotterdam designed to reduce their smelly load and keep the environment clean. The DAF electric garbage truck uses a mechanical claw to grab hold of trash cans on the ground, lift them up, and dump their contents into them. How handy is that? It's more efficient than a regular garbage truck and can recharge to 80% battery capacity in only 30 minutes. With 170 kilowatt hours of energy, it can cover regular collection routes with no problems. It has a
Hmm.
steered trailing axle which allows for sufficient maneuverability, meaning that it can navigate busy urban areas with ease. It's also capable of taking on a 30-ton payload and further proves its worth with its eco-friendly emissions. Compared to a
Really?
normal garbage truck, it uses 30% less energy, reduces greenhouse gas emissions by 50%, and is also 20% less expensive. Now that is how you trash talk the competition. Bright
Nice.
light designs. Have you ever been stuck at a junction unable to see the teeny tiny traffic lights in the distance? So frustrating, right?
Sometimes.
Well, over in Ukraine, several main streets don't have this problem thanks to these LED lights. They're applied to the entire traffic light pole and used to increase visibility for those in the back. In adverse weather conditions like storms or fog, they make it much clearer to see whether it's time to stop or go, which in adverse weather conditions can save lives. Equally as clever, these lights in the Netherlands and South Korea are designed specifically for smartphone users. All too often, the roads are being crossed by people glued to their screens, which can cause accidents. So to combat this, these lights have been fitted into the ground. Now you can notice the color change without looking up. I'm ashamed to say I would benefit greatly from this design. Over in Odisha, India,
True.
lights have been installed to prevent impatient drivers from dangerously running red lights. They count down the seconds you have to wait until you can go, which is a genius little trick that has probably put a number of drivers at ease. A world without road rage and rude beeping? I think we can all agree that's one thing our cities could definitely do without.
Mm,
Forest phone.
true.
Sometimes you need to escape from the chaos of city life and return to nature. But even in the forest, you can find amazing inventions that enhance your experience of the outside world. This odd-looking contraption, for example, is basically a
What?
giant reverse megaphone. It amplifies the noises heard in the forest, like the animals, insects, and weather, and channels it into the ears of the person laying in it. It achieves this using those large wing-like enhancers which direct all of the sound waves to its center, so listeners can pick them up easily. They're primarily constructed from wood, as wood absorbs sound waves naturally and cranks up the volume in turn. These inventions are currently found in Estonia, but they'd be perfect in plenty of other parts of the world, perhaps in national parks or designated beauty spots. That way
Hmm.
you could listen to as many soothing sounds as possible before returning to the inevitable honking and hollering of the city. Bus life.
What
Tired of
the
delayed
heck?
public transport? Tired of sitting in traffic? Tired of sitting in traffic on delayed public transport? Well, China might just have the solution to all three of those problems with its state-of-the-art, highly anticipated transit elevated bus. First unveiled back in 2016, models demonstrated how it would allow cars to drive underneath its elevated compartment while its wheels would run on tracks laid in the unused space between the lanes. This would mean passengers could skip over highway queues without adding to them. Tested in a trial in 2016, its 25-foot width was more than enough space for 2 lanes of traffic to pass beneath. And with a length of 72 feet and space for 300 passengers, this mechanical beast was said to be the biggest thing on the road. It was even projected to reduce congestion by up to 30% and could replace up to 40 standard buses. I mean, in theory, this is amazing. And sadly, that's all that it is at the moment, a theory. Because after the inaugural 980-foot test of the elevated bus in the city of Qinguandao, Hebei, the project was promptly shelved. Questions regarding its safety arose, with 32 individuals arrested regarding the legality of how it was funded. Since then, the TEB has
What?
sat abandoned and gathering dust in the middle of Qinguandao, ironically creating congestion. Well, A for imagination, F for execution. Maybe this might be viable in the future once they iron out the safety kinks. Because honestly, I imagine riding in this thing would be bussin'. Which of these inventions do you wish was in your city? Let me know down in the comments below, and thanks for
Now, this was an interesting one, and it makes me envious about it because there's so many good ideas that would just change everything. Like, look at this stuff. A safety place that we can leave our dog, and we don't leave them like in a hot place. Like, I've seen some people leave their dogs in the summer in their hot inside cars. Not sanitary and can probably cause heat stroke, but they still had to do it because they had no other choice. And that's one way to go about it. This will, will prevent animals from getting hurt, injured, or killed. Something I think everyone would like, because the less we have to run over an animal for one reason or another, the better. Because I'm not a fan of roadkill. And to be honest, who is? Then we have stuff like, well, that's, I don't know. It feels like if the thing ever breaks, you're gonna injure someone. And I'm not a fan of that. I'm still curious. Like this seems like a good idea. Problem is, one can't really put in everything they can into it. It's too expensive at the moment, and it will take a lot of time to even find space in the hospital for it. I'm not too sure about the exercise thing. It seems alright, but I don't know. Doesn't really seem okay. Um, well, I didn't know that we could just like get rid of pollution like this. It's a really clever way to go about it, and it seems really good. You already know my opinion about this. This can actually save and bring up so much energy and can help so many people if we actually tried it. But it's going to take a lot of time and effort, so start with small places first, go to big places later. I'm not too sure about the swing thing. This is really good. We can prevent pollution and we can, I don't know, make everything better in the environment. Not have to make everything go to trash island. Now, this garbage can thing, it seems alright. Don't hate it. The light thing seems necessary for some people because I go to the city here and there, and bam, so many people on their phones. It is ridiculous. And then there's the whole thing with the traffic lights, and I can admit that at sometimes it can be a bit uh spiritually taxing when it comes to lights. Because one second I'm going down the road, gonna cross, but then I notice that the green light's been on for a while, and I'm a little nervous about it. Then turns to yellow. By the second, I'm very close to the light, and I'm going like, "Oh, stay, go, stay, go, stay, go," and all that. I'm not a fan of it. It's really unnerving. But this bus does sound like the best idea. Do you know how many people would pay for this? A lot. And I'd be one of the people to do it because it sounds like a good way to get from back to forth without having to deal with so much traffic. We and even if I do have to go on the freeway and stuff like that, I would probably have to deal with less traffic because people are going on this bus. It's genius, but sadly we're gonna have to wait for the future, which is really sad in my opinion because it's really cool, it's really good, and I really do want to see this thing more in action. But other than that, tell me what you think is the most genius invention that should be implemented in every city. I'm saying it's the bus. It would save people a lot of time and effort. if we can actually get this thing going, we have to use less buses. And there's some railways that are active these days still that you can probably just use for this. Who knows? But yeah, with this said, hope you all enjoy. And I'll see you on the next video. Bye.